This storm has been called unprecedented for the last few days. A, do you think it is unprecedented? And B, looking at this storm and looking at all the factors you're laying out between the life-threatening storm surge, mudslide, amongst other things, what are you most concerned about?
Well, as far as the storm being unprecedented, I would say that we certainly oftentimes are dealing with Category 5 hurricanes. Those are the most intense hurricanes, the ones that have the highest wind speed and, of course, result in, on average, some of the most significant destruction. They pose very serious life-threatening hazards in all those different dimensions that we talked about. What's been particularly unusual about this storm is how far south it has brought those serious impacts in the southern Windward Islands, and how early in the season that part of the Atlantic Ocean, those islands were struck. That's what's unprecedented about it. That's the type of situation that we're typically dealing with later in August and into September. So it just shows you how warm that water is. Of course, AccuWeather experts have been talking about that months in advance, well ahead of other sources. And that is why we've been so concerned about that warm water. And many things, it's good to be running ahead of schedule in life. This is not one of them. We've talked about how warm that water is before, and as a result of that, we can have such an intense storm this early in the year in that part of the Atlantic basin. That is what was unprecedented about it. And then, of course, we're going to continue to be dealing with the rest of these impacts as the storm treks across the Caribbean, and then will threaten the Yucatan Peninsula and portions of southeast Texas.
I want to talk about the timing of this because, as you mentioned, it is very early in the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season. Does this timing and this strength of a storm, I mean, Category 5 has the potential to be devastating. Does that indicate to you that it's going to be a very active hurricane season?
Well, the fact that we had such an intense storm so early in the year, that's obviously, and in that part of the Atlantic basin, that's obviously once again another sign of just how unprecedented this hurricane season can become. AccuWeather experts all the way back at the end of last year started raising the alarm bells, and we've been continuously talking about that ahead of other known sources about how dangerous this hurricane season could become, with the risk for it to become supercharged in terms of not only many storms, but unfortunately serious impacts, and we're already starting to see that this year. So yes, it's just another piece of evidence that shows the concerns about this upcoming hurricane season, or this hurricane season that we're in. And of course, we're just getting started here. We've got many months to go, and our concerns about continued significant impacts, and we need people to be prepared, closely monitoring that AccuWeather forecast. Our team here are watching every cluster thunderstorm, every tropical wave, and assessing whether it can become a tropical storm and a hurricane. Our AccuWeather experts, before all other sources and almost 30 hours before the government's National Hurricane Center issued our first track forecast for the storm that would become Beryl, once again helping to keep people best informed and saving lives. That's what we do here at AccuWeather.